You may recall the infamous How to Do a Coup memo written by a key Trump ally. Well, that man, conservative lawyer John Eastman, is next on the list for questioning by January 6th committee chairman Bennie Thompson. Now, according to the Washington Post, quote, in recent months, Eastman distanced himself from the memos. He said he wrote the memos at the request of somebody in the legal team whose name he could not recall. But a new undercover video by Lauren Windsor at Undercurrent shows Eastman doubling down on his advice and bashing Vice President Pence for not undermining the election certification.
Well, but I read your memo and I thought it was solid in all of its legal arguments.
Yeah.
And I was floored that Mike Pence didn't do anything. I mean, why didn't he act on it? Because you gave him the legal reasoning to do that.
I know. No,
like, why do you think that Mike Pence didn't do it?
Well, because Mike Pence is an establishment guy at the end of the day. And all of the establishment Republicans in D.C. bought into this very myopic view that Trump was destroying the Republican Party. And what Trump was doing is destroying the inside the Beltway Republican Party and reviving the Republican Party in the hinterland.
Well, Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene is trying to justify the insurrection as just part of what the founding fathers envisioned, saying, quote, there's a clear difference between January 6th and the Marxist-communist revolution that Antifa, BLM, Democrat ground troops waged on the American people in 2020. And she made this not so surprising admission on the right-wing news outlet Newsmax.
I'll proudly say that I worked along with my colleagues planning the objection on January 6th, which I do not regret, and I'm very happy that I followed through with.
Well, joining me now to discuss this word jumble of vaguely historical references and inaccurate legal jargon is former Watergate prosecutor and assistant U.S. attorney in the Southern District of New York, Nick Akerman, and senior editor at The Insider, Kadia Tubman. Thank you both for joining us. Let's start with you, Mr. Prosecutor. When you hear this narrative about a true history of America, the true interpretation of the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, what do you make of how it's all being described?
It's totally being misdescribed, and it makes me sick. These people don't understand history. They don't understand our traditions. The idea that a vice president, after there's been a free and fair election across this country to elect a president, that a vice president of the opposite party can suddenly decide that he just doesn't like the results and can therefore reject that election is absolutely outrageous. It's against our entire democratic process. It's against what we stand for in our constitutional principles and the idea that we elect people by free and fair elections and not through this mumbo jumbo rejiggering of American history and constitutional law. I mean, this is absolutely dangerous, and it comes across sounding like it has some sense to it, but bottom line, it is absolutely wrong and is extremely dangerous to our democratic process.
Well, Kadia, let's bring you in on this because that's part of the challenge is that it kind of sounds on the surface to make sense. And the insurrection supporters tell us not to believe what we saw with our own eyes on that day or in all the documents that we're seeing. And they just sound so reasonable. What do we make of how this is translating into like watching history be recorded and told in this way?
Absolutely. I think, as has been pointed out, this is very, very dangerous. Right now, what we're seeing is a rewriting of a narrative that is actually playing out in front of us. And so we're hearing the confusing statements. We're hearing the convoluted language. We're hearing different arguments of what was true and what was false. And worse yet, what we're seeing, especially come out of the GOP that have, at least the Republicans who have defended or spoken out against whatever events happened that day, whether they were involved or had some sort of involvement. What we're seeing is that this downplayment of the American people don't care anymore, that the American people are moving on. Just this past week, for example, and not so pointed, Condoleezza Rice made a statement that said, while this should not have happened and how she was terrified of this even happening in our country, the American people and lawmakers rather should move on, and that the American people are cared more about the kitchen table issues in front of them and not necessarily this investigation into what happened on that day. However, this investigation is incredibly important because, as we just said, it is dangerous to try to rewrite what actually happened there, to try to paint it as something else. And considering that 800 people broke through windows and doors to try to get into the Capitol during a protest, that when you line it up against other protests or acts for justice, especially if we talk about BLM and Black Lives Matter and the protests, there's a stark comparison. And if we want to talk about justice in this country, we're going to have to keep going with this investigation. Trying to paint it with confusing language or trying to undercut it or undermine it and say that it isn't what it was is a direct attack on democracy. And we're seeing out of the GOP an increasingly amount of narrative and rhetoric that is anti-democratic and also illiberal at the same time. So this is very important to stay on top of. And my fear right now is that a lot of Americans and a lot of voters who were concerned at the beginning of the year or even going into the fall and into certain and midterm elections, that they're going to be losing energy to know what actually happened, to know who was involved. And I think Marjorie Taylor Greene here, as you just played, is a huge part of this, because in a way she's coming out ahead of some bombshell reports that are coming out that she was involved in some way. And we can expect that some more lawmakers and congresspeople are going to be coming out and speaking out ahead of facing any repercussions that have to do with this investigation.
Well, and that's my question for you then, Nick. Are we really seeing repercussions for the people who participated in the attack on the Capitol? You hear it being diminished to a riot, and then you hear these sentences that are a slap on the wrist compared to, people being allowed to go on vacation after they've been arrested for attacking the U.S. Capitol. So isn't that the lack of enforcement and the lack of accountability part of the problem for why these people feel so empowered?
Well, that's why this investigation is so important. It's just this last couple of weeks we learned that this was a much more coordinated effort than we had ever imagined. It wasn't just a bunch of people communicating through Facebook that suddenly showed up at the Capitol to stage this insurrection. This was very well thought out, with a war room that was being directed by Trump's lawyers, by Bannon, by Eastman, by others who showed up. You don't just rent a room in the Warwick Hotel and set up a war room because you're passing out Coca-Cola to people that are showing up and visiting Washington to protest. This is turning out to be a very well thought out program right from the beginning, right from the point where Trump was basically saying that the election was going to be rigged before it even happened, having the votes counted in places like Pennsylvania such that the absentee ballots weren't counted until after the regular vote, and then immediately calling into question that vote and coming up with this whole program about this whole bogus program that somehow the election was stolen. And now we're finding out, when we first learned about some of the actions of Trump, for example, calling the Secretary of State of Georgia, I had to scratch my head and say, well, why is he just focusing on Georgia when he needs, more electoral votes to make this work? Well, now we're finding out it was part of an overall program to basically get state legislators to come up with competing electors to go and vote for president. This is a much bigger program, and it's a reason why we have to have a thorough investigation of all the facts.
As Nick, as you mentioned, as Kadia mentions, that's why we need the record to show what actually took place, so that all the rhetoric and messaging after the fact doesn't end up taking over the narrative. And last point I will leave our viewers with on this is that 6 members of Congress are now being implicated by the committee in having coordinated the attacks with rioters in advance. So we will keep our viewers up to date on as that develops. Nick Akerman, Kadia Tubman, thank you both for joining me.